houses, you're 7. Welcome to the Seeding and Selection Show for the 2022 Rudy's Real Texas Barbecue State Volleyball Championships. If you're looking for brackets, you've come to the right place. We will release the postseason matchups for all classes. First, a couple shout-outs for those watching today. I know the Hope Huskies are out there watching. Melrose is out there for a get-together with their coach. The Goddard Rockets have been waiting for at least an hour for the show to start, right? Santa Rosa is getting together for a meal and the show. I hope you're saving me some leftovers once we're done here. Escalante wanted a shout out. You got one. I see you out there, Lobos. And to everyone else watching, thank you for your attendance as we announce the teams that are in the postseason. But before we get to that, we always like to remind everyone how the seeding and selection process works. The seeding process is not the NMAA sitting in a room randomly deciding who should be the 1 seed, the 2 seed, etc., etc. It is not that. What it is a process that is all data driven. The following criteria is used to determine a team's seed. We look at finish in regular season district play, max preps rankings, overall record, wins against district champs regardless of class, member school input, that's the coach's input in their rankings, and any head-to-head matchups. The schools are compared to one another with each of those criteria points, and the seeding is determined like one big math problem. It's all based on the numbers and the data. In the event of a tie among those criteria points, head-to-head will be used to break the tie. If there is no head-to-head competition or head-to-head competition is tied, then max preps strength of schedule will be used to break the tie. There is no input given by NMAA staff. Did everyone hear that? Let me repeat it. No input by NMAA staff. It's all data driven based on those criteria points. Did you beat a district champ? Did you have a better record? Were you ranked higher? All of those things. There is no bias for or against any school or team. Now that you understand how it's done, let's get to it. You clicked on this show to see the brackets, right? Remember, the volleyball format is a modified double elimination bracket. Let's start in Class 1A. The first team announced today is the number 1 seed in Class 1A, and that team is Melrose. Melrose is the 2-time defending state champ. In fact, Melrose has been a fixture in the final, reaching the title game each of the last 8 years. They are undefeated and on a 27-match win streak dating back to last year. They returned 4 players who saw significant playing time last year, including outside hitter Gracie Odom, so they have experience. The message from head coach Casey Jackson is controlling what you can control.
I tell them that there's 2 things in volleyball and in life that you can control always, and that's your attitude and your effort. And if those 2 things are there, good things follow. So that's, something we're trying to hone in on is, making sure that the effort level is there and that we're staying within ourselves and buying in at this point.
Here are the top 4 teams in this class. They each receive an opening round bye. Gateway Christian, Animas, and Legacy Academy. Melrose and Gateway Christian have squared off in the final each of the last 2 years. Gateway comes into this postseason with a 22-1 record. Their only loss? You guessed it, Melrose. Animas checks in with a solid resume of 19-2 overall. Legacy is a relative newcomer to the party with a 21-2 record. They haven't lost since the middle of September. Let's take a look at the bracket. Camado is your 8 seed, Santa Fe Waldorf the 9, Springer is the 5, and will take on Rama the 12. Logan is a 6 seed, and Alamo Navajo the 11. Those 2 go head-to-head in the opening round. Fort Sumner House is your 7, and will face Roy Mascaro. In Class 2A, the top spot goes to a talented bunch this year. Laguna Acoma. Laguna Acoma is the defending state champ. They have another solid squad, and they start the postseason as the number 1 seed. Laguna Acoma earned the top spot with a 22-1 record. They were on a 31-match win streak dating back to last season until Santa Fe Indian School took them down 3-2 this past weekend. But they still were ahead of everyone else in the criteria points for seeding. Here are the top 4 teams in this class. They each receive an opening round bye. Santa Rosa, Texaco, and Capitan. Capitan is 18-5 on the year. Texaco is in the postseason without head coach Kristen Scanlon for the first time in a long time. The Wolverines are led by first-year head coach Gabriel Jones. Texaco and Santa Rosa tied in district, but Santa Rosa beat them on criteria points. So Santa Rosa is the 2 and Texaco the 3. Santa Rosa has 5 seniors, and they're an athletic group. Middle blocker Amanda Sanchez really sets the tone for this one. Head coach Kevin Ortiz has been with Santa Rosa for 12 years and says this year's bracket is wide open.
2A is going to be one of the most exciting brackets that you guys are going to watch this year. I think we just got to show up and play great volleyball and see who's going to make it all the way to the top.
Let's take a look at that bracket. Hagerman and Manal will meet in the 8-9 matchup. Escalante, go ahead and cheer. You're in as 5, and we'll meet Mora, the 12. Tularosa is the 6, and we'll take on 11 seed Eunice. Cloudcroft is the 7 seed, and we'll take on Tatum, the 10. Cloudcroft won it all in 2020. On to Class 3A. Last year's runner-up is this year's number 1. St. Michael's, the Lady Horsemen, are 22-1 on the year. Their only defeat is a 5-setter against rival Robertson a little over a week ago. St. Michael's has played in the final 3 of the past 4 years, winning it all in 2018. Robertson won it all last season, beating St. Michael's in the final. They're the 2 seed. Hot Springs is the 3 and Santa Fe Indian School the 4. Hot Springs is 22-1. Their only loss is to St. Michael's. Brooklyn Garcia leads her classification in assists. Logan Woods and Hannah Hawkins can put it down, and Big Red in the middle, Ava Harrelson, is right there to light things up for them. Respect all and fear none is their slogan this year.
I think our girls are very scrappy. I think we've worked on that all summer long. We lost some last year, some of our passers, and I knew that was going to be something that we had to work on in order to run an offense. We had to fall in love with defense. We had to work on our passes. We had to work on serve receive, and I think it's really paying off. We have some great defenders in the back row, and we're scrappy all the way around.
Let's take a look at the bracket. Theroux and Cottonwood Classical is your 8-9 opening round matchup. Sandia Prep is the 5, and we'll take on 12 seed Hatch Valley. Sandia Prep won it all in 2020. Bosque is the 6, and we'll take on Tucumcari the 11. Navajo Prep is in as a 7, and we'll face 10 seed Ruidoso. In Class 4A, who will be number 1 heading into the playoffs? Any guesses out there? Anybody? Well, anyone who said Goddard, you were right. They're the top seed in 4A. Goddard reached the title game in 2020. The Rockets are on an 11-match win streak. They have 9 seniors. Sofia Valdez, senior middle blocker, has really stepped up. Alyssa Benavidez, the outside middle hitter, is strong. They've only dropped 1 game in their last 9 matches.
It does put a little bit of a target on your back. We've had the number 1 seed, I believe, 1 or 2 other times since I've been here. We haven't been able to get the job done yet. But I think it was something that the team really wanted. They really took it to heart and said, when we weren't that number 1 seed for a couple weeks there, they why not? Why aren't we there? And they kind of like, well, we're going to get there. So hopefully we can use this as motivation and say, you know what, we're the number 1 team going in, and it's time to show it to everybody and prove it.
Here are the top 4 teams in the class. They each receive an opening round bye. St. Pius is the 2, defending state champ Artesia the 3, and Hope Christian the 4. Now let's take a look at the bracket. Academy is 8 and Silver 9. Pewaukee is the 5, Santa Teresa the 12. Los Alamos is 6. They get Gallup the 11. Aztec is 7 and will meet Four Corners rival Kirtland Central the 10. Now, little explaining. First, Pewaukee and Los Alamos were tied in district, but Pewaukee beat Los Alamos in criteria points. So we have to talk about Pewaukee getting in before we can even discuss Los Alamos. Now there was a 4-way tie between St. Pius, Artesia, Hope, and Pewaukee. On criteria points, St. Pius came out on top of that 4-way tie. So now there's a 3-way tie between Artesia, Hope, and Pewaukee. Between those 3, Artesia came out on top, so they're the 3 seed. Then you have Hope and Pewaukee in a tie, and Hope beat them on criteria points, so Hope is your 4 seed, which makes Pewaukee the 5. Now that Pewaukee's in, Los Alamos can then be discussed. That's how the seeding process works. Last but not least, Class 5A. The top spot goes to one of the most dominant teams in any class this year, La Cueva. The Bears are unbeaten, and they've already taken down Las Cruces, Centennial, and Cleveland. They've only gone the full 5 games once this year, with 16 3-0 sweeps this season. La Cueva's the defending state champ. Bears have won 3 of the last 4 state titles in this classification. Here are the top 4 teams in the class. They each receive an opening round bye. Las Cruces is the 2, Cleveland 3, and Centennial 4. Centennial's Al Rosen is retiring from coaching after this postseason. He's won 5 state titles with Gadsden and Centennial. Cleveland was last year's runner-up. The only teams they lost to this year were La Cueva, Cibola, and Las Cruces. Las Cruces head coach Keith Leupold has won 5 state titles. He could reach the 600 win mark next season. The Bulldogs haven't won a state title since 2001. Alexis Massey is one of their vocal leaders on the court. Addison Massey, freshman outside hitter, is one of their most dominating players. Their coach breaks down the field.
You know, the song remains the same. La Cueva obviously is loaded and they're very talented, and Steve's done a nice job with them. Out of that district up on the northwest side of the city, you have Cibola, you have Cleveland, you have Rio Rancho, who are always in the mix. Out of the La Cueva's district, El Dorado and Sandia are strong. And then, you know, we represent, as does Centennial, class 3 5A down here in the southwest corner of the state. I think the state champion comes from that bunch. And obviously La Cueva, who's undefeated, you know, would be the perennial favorite.
Let's take a look at the bracket. El Dorado, you are 8, and Los Lunas, you are 9. Prepare to meet this week. Rio Rancho is the 5 seed. Rio Rancho's Toby Manzanares reached the 500 win plateau just last week. He has 7 state titles on his resume. The Rams take on 12 seed Albuquerque High. Cibola is the 6 and will face district foe Volcano Vista, the 11. That's the way the seeding shakes out. Sandia is the 7 and Hobbs the 10. Those two will meet in the opener. The last spot in this one came down to Albuquerque High and Mayfield. When compared against each other, Albuquerque High won coach's input and had a higher district finish. Mayfield had a better Max Preps ranking and wins against a district champ. Their overall record was the same, so it's a 2-2 tie in criteria points, right? As we mentioned at the start of the show, if there's a tie among criteria points and there's no head-to-head matchups that would decide it, then strength of schedule is the tiebreaker as voted on by the coaches. And so Albuquerque High had a better strength of schedule. They are in, and Mayfield is out. There you have it, all the brackets, all in one show. Don't forget, you can watch the state championship games this fall on the NFHS network. So get a subscription and log on so you can watch the championship matchups. That's going to do it for the 2022 Rudy's Real Texas Barbecue State Volleyball Championship Seeding and Selection Show. Good luck to all the teams involved. We will see you on the court. And remember to compete with class.